All right, so live coding tonight. Oh, I think I have glasses somewhere in this house. Yeah, and they're dirty. Let's go grab my glasses, clean my glasses real quick. They're still dirty, but whatever. They're glasses. They're better than nothing. Okay, so today I've been working on this app for some stuff and some things. And today I think I need to mock out this data. So I've got it going against some Azure stuff that I'm hopefully going to do my best not to share my key on screen, but whatever. This is going against some Azure stuff. It's using Refit to do some API contract stuff. Haha, I'm smarter than a fifth grader. Okay. Anyway, so I'm using Refit to do some magic, right? To call my Azure functions, and I'm to a point. I'm going to take these things off. To a point where I don't want to hit the Azure storage every single time. While I'm testing and while I'm playing around with different pieces of the functionality. So I just want to mock out all of the stuff that this Refit gives me, so that I can let the rest of my application architecture continue to work, but just flip a Boolean bit when I'm doing my dependency registration. So I will probably pull all of this out behind some other thing and then figure out whether or not I need to do mocks or other stuff. I was working on some Sextant pop-up stuff. So if we get this done quickly, we may check this in and then go and push to another branch. As a matter of fact, we probably need to check if we're on a branch. Get status. Yeah, we're on main, so get check out branch feature mocks. And if we get done with this, we'll go back to I was playing around earlier with some Sextant pop-up navigation stuff using Sextant alongside with RG plugin pop-ups. I actually need it for this application, so another consumer of the library recently asked for it and had to implement it themselves, and they gave me their implementation. So I've been gleaning their implementation, which is more or less straight off the current API that I have. But I'm gonna start looking at that and see what I can figure out. So for now, I'm gonna figure out a way to do mocks around this. So I've got my little thing down here, and I've got that's QMocks. But here, I think I just need to go ahead and add a class and call it. What are we doing? We're doing iStore API, or no. Just call it Store API Contract Mock. Yeah. That will then hopefully be able to just easily inherit from the contract. It'll implement the contract. Yay. So now here's the hard part. Up here in our functions, we did some nifty junk to generate data. And I kind of just want some pre-generated data. Like, I don't want to actually work hard for this. I want this to be easy. So I don't know if I want to pull the document extract or generator out, or if I just want to generate I don't want to generate a whole bunch of in-memory stuff every time. This would be better if I had like some predefined, pre-built stuff, but I guess I can just use the document generator. And I'm going to be really, really bad at this today, and I'm just going to pull all of it in. It's like I'm using Bogus under the hood to mock all this data, which, for the record, Bogus is awesome. So I'm thinking I'm literally just going to copy this entire file out. And then I think I'm going to take that file, and I'll deal with the whole, where should it go, being a good steward of code later. For now, I'm just going to be a bad developer and just copy and paste some code, because I need to figure out the more important part, which is just getting some mocks done, right? Hopefully we did smart things. Probably not, because we're good at this. Yeah, we're really good at this. So we didn't even copy the stuff we need from inside the generator. We can copy all of that. And then here we'll have a DTO generator, and inside here we'll go ahead and paste all that, which means we'll need to take a dependency here on the bogus. Oh no. That's a thing. I wish it were smarter. Downgrade. Oh, and then you're going to tell me that there we go. Now that looks closer to correct. I was about to say, the fact that it doesn't want to let me bring in IEnumerable is not good. So, okay, that looks like it's all resolved correctly. That needs to be the DTO generator. So right now, I'm honestly just making this as easy as possible on myself. Store DTO, which I have access to. Ooh, the DTO doesn't have a category? Why does the DTO not have a category? Then we get the chance to look at our data and the way it's structured. Okay, so it doesn't have a category, so we don't have to worry about that. .toList. We don't really need to generate 5,000, so we'll generate 500. This will be store DTOs. So now we getting rid of the red squigglies after our copy paste. All right, now we has no more red squigglies. So this little DTO generator now will generate the same data that I'm technically going to have in my database anyway. So now I should be able to, in my mock data generator, just be able to do something like public store API contract mock generator equals new store DTO generator. Create a property, because we don't even need it to be public. That can honestly be private now that I think about it. Create a field called generator, and then we don't want, because I don't even think we actually want the generator to execute, honestly. So I just want some items. I'm just gonna be simple. I'm gonna keep this as legitimately easy as possible, right? There we go. We've got items, we've got DTOs, right? So now when we do this, we can do a items dot first or default, and we'll just buy right into the $1 million mistake. $1 billion mistake, probably $1 billion at this point. We'll just call that the ID, which should be that, equals to the store ID. Oh, it needs to be an observable return. Ugh. All right, whatever. I was having a conversation earlier telling somebody that observable return is greater than observable.create. Oh, wow. Yeah, that is my dad. How about that? So I got Chase and my dad in my live stream tonight. Chase is a colleague of mine, and my father is my father. So yeah, so anyway. Chase, I hope you have a beer, my friend. I hope you have a beer. This is just going to return observable.return of all of the items, GoGoGadget items. And this is going to return. So this is where like things are weird, right? Because like I'm going to end up having to return items dot select. I'm going to have to return the name because I just want the name. But I don't want all the names. I just want them distinct. And it's weird because I feel like now I definitely feel like I'm duplicating logic. So we need to go look at all of our downstream calls for get metadata because there's definitely some overlap. What are we looking for? We're looking for get metadata. So we got to get store metadata. That's part of our API contract, all that stuff. There's a service. Let's go here and look for your implementations. Get store metadata. So we're getting store metadata. We're using this thing. This thing has an implementation. The implementation right now isn't doing anything special. It's literally, so okay, so maybe it's the server side logic where I'm doing that, and that's where I'm having to duplicate that logic on the client, and maybe that's why my brain is like not liking this thing. Well, what do you know? Yep, group by X, select many distinct. Dun dun dun. We're just gonna copy, and we're gonna come back over here and paste. Items dot group by X. So I guess we don't need to do the group by. I guess the select many, and I guess the select many is actually probably overkill too. We just need to do the select. Okay, so I guess we had the code right, and we should probably stop going and. Oh, maybe we didn't have the code right. Well, I'll figure it out. Select X name distinct. That seems good enough for me for the moment. I'll put a breakpoint towards the end. So now we need to wire this thing up in our container. Okay, so I think first thing we're going to want to do is I'm just going to want to take these two and create an extension method and do like register contracts or something like that, right? And then pass in a Boolean value. So we'll go over here to our, why is this showing a red? Oh, I guess that's a price you pay for rebasing. Um, okay, so we already got one for adding API clients, right? And adding mock API clients. Right, so here we're doing, okay, so we already have, I am so smart. I already have this like set up. So add function API clients, and we'll just call this add API clients. So we'll go ahead and come back over to the thing, and we'll do this thing. We'll do that add clients, and we'll set it to true. True means that we're going to give it mock data, and that honestly, I think I can just default that to false. Or should that even be a concern that we pass in at this level? I'll come back to that because I think I want to do some like if def magic somewhere just to make life easy. Not that if def magic is really good for you, but it can be useful. So here we'll mock the API clients. So over here, back on the page. Okay, we already grabbed those, which means hopefully they're on the clipboard. And then we'll come over here to where we're doing function clients, and we'll add our REST clients. So this will be service collection.add, REST4. Give it a semicolon so it doesn't do weird stuff. I could technically just return that though, can I? Like, because that's the way ASP.NET Core works, right? I can just technically return the service collection because these should return the same service collection. So I should just be able to do that. Return my service collection with my added stuff. Here, I'll go ahead and add that, which is my mock hub client for my SignalR junk, which just allows me to do like expression methods, so which are useful. Here we're going to add a singleton. So let's go back over to where we were defining this stuff. So here we would actually have to add a scoped, because okay, here we're doing open generics. So here, when we do this thing, we want to do that. But otherwise, we're probably going to want to find some less classy way to do this. Like, want to know what's behind door number 3. Like, I want to click on that, but I'm afraid that if I click on that, you're going to see Azure keys, and I'm going to have to go reset Azure keys. So let's try and be safe and not do that today. So I don't have to go race to go change Azure keys after the fact. Because, yeah, that's not going to be any fun for me. Okay, so this looks almost like right where... Ooh. Yeah, okay, this looks almost like right where we're adding the thing. Okay, so if it's true, we're going to use mocks, so we can actually just put a breakpoint here. And if it's not true, conditional attribute if csproj conditional ifs. Yeah, you were talking about that a week or so ago, Chase, and I'm probably gonna end up there, but I'm not gonna end up doing it here because I don't know the syntax well enough, and Googling is not gonna be my friend today because my Google Foo's been failing me all week, so I'm not gonna trust it. But okay, so now we can add our API clients, which this is the API. Oh, no, that should just be contracts. You gats brain. This should be contracts. Okay, so these are contracts. And here I have to register the mock implementation of my contracts. Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and change that. That's gonna be contracts. Add mock API contracts, yeah, because naming things is hard. Add function API contracts, because if we don't name things properly, then it'll come back to bite us later. I think this is technically the client and isn't what I want to be doing here, because this is the... Okay, so I actually don't have implementations for these yet. I'm going to leave those there for now and try and focus on the fact that I'm doing other things poorly. Add a singleton of iStore API contract, right? Which is that thing. And here we're going to want to register the store mock that we just created. Now here comes the $64,000 question is, did I write this in a way that I'm not going to create a circular reference? And I think the answer to that is no, I did not. So what does that mean? It means you get to sit here and see me waffle over CS project stuff. Because I can't bring this in, that'll cause a circular reference. I kind of want to pull all this stuff out into some core project. How am I going to do this? Let's figure that out. All right, so I think, je pense donc je suis. I think, therefore I am. All right, so I think what I really want to do is I want to just bring all those mocks into the form. No, I want to bring them into here proper so that I can just figure out how I'm going to do this later. But then how are we getting the hub mock client? How are we able to get that? So, okay, maybe Rodney's just not thinking clearly. Or maybe he just didn't copy and paste stuff properly. Yeah, it's so much easier when you copy and paste. Here we're registering... Oh. We're registering that as a transient? Why were we doing that? Oh, it would add a new one anyway. I guess it wouldn't matter. I guess the hub client does it. need to be a singleton, but we'll register it as one anyway. And I wonder, does it let me just do QHub mock client without having to give it an actual new definition? Oh, it does take it. How about them apples? Okay, so now I've got a Store API contract mock, which means that should return data. So let's fire this thing up and switch over to our simulator view so we can look at the code, do the code stuffs. So he's talking about conditional attribute if conditional. Oh, I do remember you talking about this. View model factory is not defined. Dependency injection. The type could not be found. Are you missing an assembly or reference? Oh, no. But per usual, Rodney did not do the normal Xamarin Clean and refresh NuGet packages. And I was doing some really funky stuff with this project, pulling in external resources so I could write code and test the code live. So may need to do a full clean refresh, clean solution, rebuild. Oh, so you're okay, Chase. So you're literally talking about creating a conditional attribute that that looks at the if def for me, or that does the if def for me, I think. And then in the CS proj, the definition would be in the CS project file. Okay. And I think you showed me an example of that. I want to say it was here. Yep. I want to say this is where you have all these conditional ifs. Yep, that is it. Here's where you're doing the okay. And but you're doing this on a shared project, and that's the weird part to me. I don't know how that translates effectively. iView model factory. All right, so off we go to the file system to go blow. Oh wait, I don't have to go to the file system. I'm using Rider. Yay! I don't have to do that. I can just use the IDE's power as it exists. We don't want to use that. Why is that SignalR project even still there? Bye-bye SignalR project. You get to go bye-bye. The view models project shouldn't be there anymore either, so you can get deleted off the file system. The bin and the OBJ can get deleted. All right, so that's for the forms project. I don't think I need to care about the mocks. That's gonna force me to do a NuGet refresh and restore. And yes, all the people can judge me later because I'm using buttons instead of the command line right now. Shame me. Shame me. Oh. I make that joke because I actually have developer friends that will actually shame me if they see me using GUI tools. It's just some days I just want to point and click. I can subscribe to the laziness of GUIs, not GUIDs. GUIDs are not lazy. Or maybe they are. Now I have to go look. They're not. It's just a struct. All right. So now that we've done that, we should be able to do a rebuild. Because those events should exist. So I shouldn't get any build errors. And yet, that's the only one I'm getting. Let's go edit the CS project file and see what Rodney didn't do. Rodney doesn't have, no, I've got Sexton Xamarin Forms right there. It's brought in as a dependency. I've cleared what? Oh, it doesn't need that because there's nothing in the view models for me to bring in. Okay, so now we've got sex and Xamarin Forms. I love how this happens pretty much like every single live stream is like the same issues come up. You'd think I'd learn from my mistakes, but apparently I am as hard-headed as they come. And as my father is on here or was on here at one point, he can attest to how hard-headed I can be. I'm sure he's probably got a laundry list of stories he'll tell you if you ever catch him. Okay, now the events are finally done the event thing. So now maybe my NuGet cache is officially like restored and I can run. Because at this point, this is embarrassing. All right, so it says cannot be used as a T implementation type of the generic. There is no implicit reference to that thing. Which I'm like, is it .NET that's drunk, or it's definitely not me. I'm not drunk because I haven't had my adult beverages for the night. I'm waiting until after I get done live streaming. So it's definitely got to be either Rider or .NET that is completely and totally drunk, because like I'm just gonna go ahead and show you. They're telling me that I can't register that single instance against that thing because there's no implicit reference conversion. But then when we go look at the thing, there's like it's a direct inheritor of okay. So either Visual or not Visual Studio, either Rider is drunk, .NET is drunk, and my money's on .NET. But we can all probably agree that Rodney is not drunk enough not to be dealing with this nonsense. How do we fix that? Yeah, like the only way that I know how, like I went and I cleaned the bin in the OBJ folders, right? So those go away, and then I have to restore my NuGets fresh, right? So that'll force a NuGet refresh. I'll do it on all the things that it depends on, or that depend on it, or dependencies. Yeah. Circular references, go. All right, so that's done. So that's the common project, that's the Forms UI project, that's the mock project. They've all been done. That can officially go away now because it should no longer have anything referencing it. I'll close that again. We'll go and now I'm gonna go to the command line. .NET restore -- force -- no cache. Yes, I have to talk the API out to myself, otherwise I get lost. Yay! It restored all the NuGets across all the packages. Skip the. So I'll point. I was having a conversation with some folks yesterday saying I still can't use .NET to do Xamarin, completely, and here's showing exactly that. I have to do a true NuGet restore using the actual NuGet exe to get that to work correctly there. So okay, joy. So we restored NuGets. NuGets have been got, which means I should have explicitly gotten a refresh on the XAMPP Forms dependency. But let's just go look at this thing and see. .XAMPP Forms, which I know we are depending on. It is included in the XAMPP Forms, which is where it needs to be. But I think it also needs to be included in wherever we have the view models, which would be here. Yeah? So maybe that's the problem. Okay, let's see how this works. Now it's been installed in more places, so everybody can be happy. We're just let's slam F5 or that debug button and pray that this thing does stuff. Nope. The type or namespace iViewModelFactory could not be found. It couldn't be found using the latest version of the thing, which I know for a fact it's in there because that's like 271 is when I shipped it. So what, pray tell, are we missing? Like, it's not even giving me a red squiggly telling me that things are broken, right? Like, so it's like, if that couldn't resolve to that, I should definitely get a really explicit error. Yeah? While we're at it, let's just... How do I get you to pay attention to the fact that I need you to explicitly rebuild, right? So, like, maybe I can unload the project and maybe that'll do something, yeah. Because it's definitely the Xamarin Forms project that's breaking, so let's unload it and let's reload the project. Now that we reload the project, it should go through the project dependency system. Now it's telling me that it doesn't have it. Now it knows. Okay, because in the... Oh! Yep, Rodney is a bad developer. So this is why I've learned to appreciate another person's eyes on my code. We all make mistakes, right? Like, this is a mistake that I made in a public library where not like I have this abstractions namespace that I really don't want to have, but I have it and it doesn't really do anything. And as a result, here we are. All right, so we get the contract, so it's going to do the mock thing. So now when it loads my page, if it loads my page, uh-oh, I think I broke it. Oh, shit, I think I broke it. I think I legitimately broke it. Oh, yeah, I broke it. Unable to resolve. Okay, so we need to add one for the queue as well. Okay. So we need to add a mock for the queue, which there's already a mock for that, but we need one that mirrors this contract. Okay. Oh, that's going to be real easy. Observable.return, go. Add a class, we'll call it Q API contract. We'll inherit from this thing. No, hey, we're pushing buttons. We don't even know what they do. All right, and we don't want to return no. We're literally just gonna do, oh wait, no, we'll put the fat arrow up there. And we'll do observable.return unit.default. Everybody gets happy. We'll worry about the implementation details of that later. We'll actually rename this to mock because that is our naming convention that we are using for mocked objects. And really all we're doing technically is just mocking the data store, but you know. Add singleton I Q API contract of Q contract mock. That just loads those. Maybe we want to do more than just, we'll call this contracts API contracts. Woo, hey. Don't do it. It's a trap. Add API contracts. So let's go back to here. And we can actually, you know what, we're going to clean up some other stuff. We're going to take all of this and move this behind a method. Let's see how smart the code refactor allows us to be. Okay, it doesn't know that we want to do that, so we won't even bother. We'll just do add API, or no. Right now I have the, okay, what was that? We have the contract of services and clients, right? So I want to add the clients separately and the services separately. So I want to do like a dot add API clients, and we want to do like a add uh, services, which is probably going to be weird because we have the configure services. So we'll probably come back to that, and we'll probably pass in the same thing. Well, no, because technically, okay, so this is where like encapsulation and all of this interface segregation nonsense and your layering gets really, really fun, right? So technically, what Rodney wants to do, and yes, Rodney is talking about himself in the third person. Ooh, yes, Ryder is smart. Ryder knows to make this a extension method. No, it doesn't. Never mind. I tried. Oh well. Oh, it's wanting to change. It doesn't know. It doesn't know how to do that. Okay, that's fine. I wouldn't expect it to know how to do that, or know where to put the thing. Add API contracts. Is that not what contracts? It says that we're not using it, but we're clearly using it. Okay, so yeah, Ryder's a little drunk. That's cool. It's a long weekend, Ryder. You can start getting drunk early. Do the same thing over here. We're just gonna do the public static service collection, add API clients. This service collection is gonna return service collection dot that stuff for the moment, but we really just want this and this. We can take it. We'll take in the Boolean value. Yeah, we'll take in the Boolean value because we'll probably do our if-def statement in the place where we're doing the code, and then just pass in the value, that same static value. Yeah, that'll be fine. Bool use mocks. We won't use that thing for the moment, and then we're gonna probably do this exact same dealy bobber. We're gonna just paste that. We're gonna be smart about how we do this, and we're gonna get rid of that and that, and we're gonna put a semicolon there so that it knows that we want to come back and do that. All right, so from an encapsulation perspective, we're going to call this data services, for lack of a better term. Yeah, so we've made that easy enough. We're going to call that true. We're going to call that true. Add API clients. Add data services. And apparently we didn't spell that right. Add API clients. Yeah, that is a public static. Yay, Rodney's good at this. All right, cool. So that's just stuff. I don't care. Yeah, you're going to be smart and tell me that you live in abstractions and you don't know how to resolve yourself anymore. You can come back later when I care. Okay, so now we've got our API clients, our data services, and our API contracts. I'm going to move some of this around just so that it's registered in the logical order in which it's actually needed. So the contracts is the lowest level of our encapsulation chain. This is actually where we're going to be doing our mocks. I actually don't even know if we need to do mocks for any of this other stuff because, you know what, actually, we don't. I'm going to just go ahead and say we don't, and I'm going to take that out. And I'm going to make the decision now that we don't really care about that because, like, okay, we talk about, like, should I mock the data? Should I mock the data source? Like, how should this thing work? Well, the way we've got our dependencies set up, right? We're going to talk about this. I'm actually going to be giving a talk about this in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from tomorrow. So you'll see this code again if you happen to catch this live stream. But one of the things we're doing is we're actually we're abstracting away several layers. So here I don't actually want to put, or I potentially in my application level, at my application level, this is not a testing seam that I'm trying to test. So I'm encapsulating stuff along the way. So my API contract is surfaced by my API client. My API client is actually what's getting injected into my store service, and that reduces the surface area that I actually have to mock just to get my application to work, right? Because like now all I'm really doing is mocking the thing that gives me data, right? That's all I'm doing. And then the thing that goes and gets the data from the thing that gives me data and then stores it in my internal data store isn't mocked, right? It doesn't need to be mocked because I just need to return data, and the thing that's going to return the data is going to be my mock of the data return. So this makes the whole approach to this very succinct, right? And it actually reduces the amount of mocking that I have to do at the application level just to get my application to return, let's call it synthetic data. Yeah. So this is a technique that I use quite often. But I'm actually playing around with this particular pattern, and this particular pattern is such that the API contract gets injected into the API client. The API client gets injected into this data service concept, and then the data service returns me some data. So if we go back to the view model where we were doing the stuff, because we wanna actually potentially, I don't know, maybe we don't. Just put a breakpoint where we select the unit. I think tonight I'm going to try and write a retry with backoff observable extension method after stream. Or maybe I'll just stay on stream all night. You guys just suffer through me eating and drinking, and I'm gonna be coding all night, so you might as well join me, right? Hey, that's a thing. Oh, don't tell me I'm on the wrong page. Yeah, okay. Rodney's smart. We're going to go to forms. We're going to go to the application. We're going to go to .cs. We no longer want the queue. Instead, we want the store search view model, where we're actually going to hit that thing. So it appears the mock generator or data generator is working, but we didn't actually put a breakpoint in there to see that it's actually working. So we're not actually using that get metadata method yet, so that makes sense. We're not getting the store by ID either, but YOLOs. So I'll also point out something else that's beneficial for this, where this pattern is beneficial. There we go. Speaking is difficult. Where this pattern is useful is to find things in the UI that might actually be bound to like network IO or file IO, and you'll get a chance to see your UI respond differently when you're connected to a live connection versus mock data, and it'll give you a indication of things that might be happening in the wrong thread context. We're actually going to put a delay. So can we do that? I think we can do that easy enough, right? I think. So here we're going to return, and we're explicitly going to do an observable. No. We can just do dot delay. Dot delay. Time span from seconds. Let's do like 3 seconds so we can see if our ticker actually ticks, or our activity indicator works. I've been having some issues with the Xamarin Forms activity indicator working the way I expect it to work over the past couple of weeks. And I'm wondering if it's just Rodney's broken, or if my brain doesn't work, or if somewhere along the way, the way I've been doing it changes. I don't know. Man, the computer is taking its sweet time today. It probably just needs to be. It probably hasn't been shut down in like weeks. It's probably like, I am overworked and underpaid. And if Rodney was half the developer he thought he was. Oh man. Such simple mistakes. Such simple mistakes. Reading is fundamental. Yeah, I actually like this a lot because now I just have to mock my data source, and then all the rest of my application just works, right? So like now my Akabash cache is going to get actual values. It's going to do the thing. It allows me to actually test out. Actually, we want to see if we can. Yep. Oh. Oh. Oh, that's right. It loads on. There we go. Yeah, so okay, my activity indicator is working. Yay. And then we'll go and look for Academy, and we'll do a search. That's actually where we wanted that to not be there. My button isn't doing that same thing when I'm wired up to the live data, and I'm concerned it's because of a thread context. That's what we don't want it to be. Like, so, okay, I talk about RX a lot, and I talk about RX being this really powerful tool that you should use. And I never really talk about the caveat to that, where like the whole Peter Parker, with great power comes great responsibility. You have the power to do all the things, and that means that you should be very careful when you do all the things, because you probably shouldn't do all the things. I've learned that the hard way. I'm sure other people that have delved into RX have learned that the hard way. Doesn't mean you shouldn't play around to learn, but it definitely means that, you know, when you're doing certain things, you've got to pay really close attention to what you're doing. So that might actually just be like a threading issue where I'm not observing on the correct thread when I go and execute the method, and then as a result of not being on the correct thread when I execute the method, the UI thread is blocked and it's not getting the update, which is possible. But at this point, I've got my mock data here, so I'm actually ready to go back to. And now I'm upset because my mock data plays nicer than my live data. See, now this is the most interesting part about this, right? Like, we haven't changed any of the other application internals, right? Like, we haven't changed how the data service is bringing us data to the view model. We haven't changed how the cache is doing its caching. All we've done is taken the network request out of this picture, and we're already seeing differences in our application. It's a very important thing, right? Because like we specifically in mobile development, like it's a hard thing because you gotta you've got a device that has all of this raw power, right? But it has to solve for concerns that a desktop doesn't have to solve for, right? Like a web developer doesn't have to worry about the internet, just mysteriously coming out from underneath them, because if there's no internet, there's no web page, right? But if there's no internet, there still has to be a mobile application. It's kind of hard, right? Like it's kind of a hard thing. So it becomes this concept of how do we determine when and where to check for network connectivity. How does network connectivity play into our application stuff? You see like the delay on that button click, like I'm clicking it and it's happening like a full second after. And I'm wondering if that's something new, or if I went back a couple of versions in Xamarin Forms, would I get a different experience? I haven't looked at their change list, their change log either, so I don't really know. But this at least alleviates me having to go to a web server to get data. Oh, and you'll notice it even gives me my spinner, which is also functionality that I'm not getting when I'm connected live. Oh, man. Oh, man. Look, people are like, oh, Rodney. Before I run my mouth, let me go verify that I'm doing the thing. Nope, I am using list view. Yeah, okay. I was going to say some bad stuff about collection view, because collection view is not my favorite. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to talk bad about the Xamarin Forms team. I like those guys. They do really good work. I really enjoy the platform for the most part. As a .NET dev, it feels like it's right at home. Okay, so at this point, I think I'm actually ready to commit this code, because we've at least got what we need to keep going. So we'll go to the terminal, git status. I want to look at the diff though. We actually may not have needed that. I have a feeling we did, but I don't think we did. So we'll stage it anyway. We'll stage the store DTO generator, and we'll just be a bad developer there. I'll come back later and figure out how to make that common. Store API mock contract. We definitely want to the contract having bogus. We had to implement that thing. We changed the search page. We changed that back. We added all manner of extension methods, and I'm actually thinking I'm gonna stop using the term extension method and start calling them what they are. They're functions. And all you non-functional developers can be mad and say, "Oh, it's an extension method." No. It's a function. It's just a function that happens to be invoked off of an extension point. Debate me. It's a function. At the end of the day, so we should start calling things what they are and not like imagining things to be other things. Because that's where the value is, right? So we'll close that. Yeah, I'm gonna commit it right now, Matt. Git status. Git commit dash m. I don't really call this a feature. I'm just gonna call it a fix. I guess I should call it a feature. Added mock API contracts. All right, so we'll commit that. That means we're on that branch, so we can do git checkout main. And yes, Matt, I use main in my project as opposed to master. Oh, I know I'm opening a can of worms by saying that to you, but I feel like it's worth it. No. We get it's so I don't actually merge directly from the command line anymore. I've been doing a lot of pull requests lately, so git checkout feature mocks, and then I want to do a git. Is that the right way to merge this up? Would be to fast forward. No, I want to be on the main branch. and I want to do a fast forward. So git merge feature mocks fast forward only. Yeah, there we go. Now everything looks correct on the commit tree. So I'm on main. I've got this other thing I'm going to check out in a minute. And then we're going to go back to working on our pop-up page. Yeah, Matt, you missed it earlier. I don't know if he's still in here. My dad was in here earlier. It was funny. Git checkout feature store. Git rebase. This is going to be an ugly rebase. Oh, wait. Gosh. Nope. Abort. Git branch list. Or is it git branch? It's like dash list. There we go. Okay. Feature add store, right? Yeah. So we're adding the store here. All right. So quit. So we'll do git checkout feature add store, and now we'll do the git rebase onto main. This is going to be an ugly rebase, or maybe it's going to be a really easy rebase and Rodney just doesn't know what the heck he's talking about these days. Okay, I'm going to go with the latter. It's going to be easy peasy. Nope, we got the conflicts. And where does we have the conflicts? Of course, we have the conflicts. So we're going to grab that particular one, and then we're going to add those. A Mazaml. More conflicts. All right, cool. So we've rebased, and now that we've rebased, we're actually going to apply this stash. All right, and once Rider gets a chance to refresh the projects, which doesn't take that long because it runs on a 64-bit process, so there's that. No, you can't have the conflicts. I don't resolve the conflicts in the terminal because I'm not that I'm not that savage, bro. I resolve them in VS Code. Is my tool to do that in. So you can't see the conflicts, unfortunately. And yes, my dad was here. You do. It's 3 in the morning. Why are you still up coding? Why? And I say that as I'm probably going to go make a cup of coffee in about 30 minutes and stay up till at least 2 myself. But why are you doing it? You're supposed to be better than me, Matt. He's like, yeah, Rodney, whatever. Okay. No, I'm not done. Okay, great. Go away. All right, we'll just hit F5. Profiles on what, Nuke? What are profiles going to be used for? Like build profiles or something like that? Like, got me interested now. Hmm. Did we? We did. All right, now everybody's happy. I'm actually gonna go back to that at a certain point and figure that out. You can save passwords or set parameters to pass, and then just load them using. Oh, so you're talking about like if I've got them in like a Azure Key Vault, or maybe I've got them on the build or in my build system, then I can basically just pass them through this concept of a profile, right? A build profile, and then I get access to that data. That's pretty slick. I'm interested to see what you came up with. I still owe you some work on Nuke. I need to finish up that .NET client or that GitHub client, so I can start doing pull requests from my GitHub Actions releases using Nuke. So I'm gonna start using Nuke. Like I'm gonna create a whole bunch of small Nuke programs. So instead of actually having to do TypeScript, I'm just gonna do it all in Nuke, and then just run the Nuke action or run the action from Nuke, something like that. Have a whole distributed build system that just calls like random little Nuke programs. Because why would I want to work hard? Okay, so we're searching and we've got data. All right, and this looks very similar to the data that we already had before. So now we know we're not connecting to Azure, and I can probably pull up my Azure instance here and verify that I'm no longer hitting the web server. So I've got data, and when I click on the data, I'm actually gonna text my dad and see if he's still on. I don't know who. It says that there's people in here. And my wife has gone to her mother's house, so I am on my own for dinner. So I'm probably gonna eat bad food for me or bad for me food. Yeah, that's probably what's gonna happen. Okay, so what I was doing before I was doing the mock data that I found out that I needed to go ahead and do the mock data for was I was hitting the Azure instance every single time. I was hitting the Azure instance every single time. Now I'm no longer hitting the Azure instance every time. I'm hitting mock data. So now when I go and test all this stuff and I'm going and playing around with my navigation implementation, I'm not breaking the world. So let's figure out how to make the world work. All right, so let's go to let's close all but pinned. Or we want to pin this. We definitely want to pin that. We'll close all but pinned. And we'll do, where do we want to be? We want to be in the detail view model because that's where we are. And we want to, okay, we're binding that. So what we want to do here is bind all that out to the detail view somehow. Okay, so what do we want on the detail view? We probably want a card similar to what the Q card looks like. So let's go steal code. That's going to be a Q item view model. That's more or less what it looks like. We're going to continue to reuse that pancake view. So I'm probably going to come back and like find a way to make that view more reusable. But should be relatively straightforward in the fact that I want that there. I'm still actually going to leave. I'm using pancake view because pancake view is awesome. I'm going to take this background color though because I like that purple background color right now. It's making me So Dad, if Mom's there, tell Mom that my friend from München is on, and Matt, my mother speaks fluent German, and she's probably floating around. She's actually probably asleep because it's 9 p.m. there. But yeah, so I told my mom about you a couple of weeks ago, Matt. I was like, yeah, Mom, I got a friend that lives in Munich, and he was speaking. He met Dominic, and because all of my family knows each other, so yeah, these are wonderful people that I have met around the world, writing code, reading code, consuming code. Probably more is more accurate, right? Like I've consumed some of the code that Matt has written, and I've had feedback from my consumption of the code, and Matt has been more than nice about helping me through some of my issues as well as solving issues for me, getting additional features in that will help. We want to do some one-way binds, so we'll do some one-way binding, and we'll call that the view model property, and we want to do the store dot name, and we'll put that in the store name dot text. Matt, did you see that? Were you watching when that just happened? I love how my parents are are trolling my live stream and introducing themselves to my friends. And it's like, and then it's the question of like, can I call them friends because they're on the internet and I've never physically met them? But then I'm like, they're my friends. We make bad jokes about each other, and we talk about real serious geopolitical issues. Those are friends. Wherever you find them, those are friends. Okay, so now that I've wired up that binding, I have to restart Xamarin Forms because Xamarin Forms will probably yell at me. Although I do have hot restart working, and I hate to bug Matt because Matt works. One of the other ways that I know Matt is through the JetBrains Rider team. So I hate to ask him questions ad nauseum while I'm using Rider, while I have him on my live stream. But I always like to point out random stuff, and I always try and point out random improvements. Not that any developer wants to hear directly from their customer about how they can improve their product, right? Like we don't want to hear that. Searching, clicking the thing. Oh, I think I broke it. I think I broke it. Yeah. Let's go back and be smart about this because I have a feeling that I'm. Do I want to look at the console output? I don't, but I should. I don't want to look at the console output, but I should because I have a feeling there is no error message. Okay, this is promising. So there's a bug out there currently on this library that has something to do with invoking or passing navigation parameters that I haven't fixed. And now I'm got this working on another construct and it seems like it's working. So I'm actually very concerned about that fact. But that, as I say, some days is a tomorrow problem. Today, we're going to figure out how to get this text wired up. So we'll do binding and we'll bind it to the store dot. The store should have a name. My baloney has a first name. Why does my store have one? Okay. Ooh, we're going to create a style for that like right now. Ooh, the question is, should we create or should that, because this is like the reusable view, right? So I should probably just create this as a control template somewhere and do that. But I don't want to do that now because I'm not good at that. So I'll use that time to teach myself later. So we've got a background. We're just going to put some default text in some of this stuff just to see it render out onto the screen. So we're not, driving ourselves crazy. Remaining time. Remaining time. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Like now my friends are talking to my mother in the chat on my live stream. I think that's enough for tonight, folks. We'll catch you next week. Anyway. All right, so that we'll just bind that stuff there. Um, yeah, we've been to Munich. No, I don't think we remember what street. And my mother rebels at any chance she gets to speak German, so. Okay. It is broken. And we broke it. So let's figure out how to fix the thing. Let's just make sure that we're actually getting a. Ooh, are we getting a value? Let's find out. Are we getting. We're pushing the pop-up. We're getting the parameter. The thing is being called. It has an actual value. So we are getting a. Hopefully getting a store out. There's got to be an item in there with that store ID, right? I don't see it actually setting it though, so maybe that's a thing. Let's go put a get store ID dot do underscore. Do we have a logger? We do not have a logger, so we're gonna go cheat real quick, which is like my favorite thing to do in programming these days. And we'll do I enable logger. Oh, which is already enabled. I don't think I want to do that. Let's just go back. Let's just do this dot log dot debug, and we'll put x. Oh wait, debug should just be. We're literally just putting this here so we can put a breakpoint. We'll rerun it. My mother is an amazing individual. For those of you who don't know or who have never heard me talk about it, my mother is actually a Spanish teacher and knows somewhere in the area of like 4 languages, if I remember correctly. Okay, so I am getting the parameter, which means I'm getting the store GUID. Okay, so let's do this instead. Let's go back to the original way that we had this. Let's go put this in the constructor where it belongs, right? And instead of doing it that way, we'll do it this dot when any value x dot store dot where dot invoke command. But if I do that, here we go. Here we go again. Let's put that back there for the moment, because we kind of want to invoke the command. We haven't really done the thing with it yet, so that's weird. We kind of have to define the command in order to be able to initialize it. So now we can use the initialized data. So we'll call that in response to any value change. I don't want to do it that way. That's not going to be that anymore. That's now going to be a reactive property. Oh no. No. We just did that all wrong. Maybe. So we're going to do this. Yeah. When any value, store ID, right? Where it's not equal to empty. Okay. I have a feeling I'm duplicating logic that's already on the view, but we'll get there. This when any value where x does not equal to GUID.empty. We don't want to actually explicitly invoke the command unless the command invocation will give us get store. So we'll call that get store, which will be a command. It can return the thing, and then we can toProperty out the stuff, give it this x.store. So that way we can, and then we can defer defer subscription equals true. So we're actually just gonna take that whole bit there, maybe. Yeah, because that's still an observable property helper. All right, so here we want to create a reactive command. So we'll do reactive command that takes in a GUID and returns a store DTO. We'll call it get store equals reactive command create from observable. It's gonna need the GUID and the store DTO, and we're gonna put execute get store. Create a method that does the thing. So here we're actually just going to do this. We're not even gonna check for that thing being null. We're just gonna fire it in, and that'll return. All right, so it returns correctly. Oh, you can't do a .toProperty from the invocation of a command. That's correct. Oh, because I can't do invoke command, but I can do like select many on the command and then get the value back. I don't want to do that. I think I'd rather just my get store just sets the store and let the store be mutable. And just let it be a reactive property and let it be mutable. I think that's probably the easiest way to go about that. Oh no, y'all are still talking. All right, so that doesn't work because that won't work, which means this doesn't need to return the DTO anymore. It can just return a unit that can return a unit. This will now need to return a unit Instead of doing that, we'll have to do all right, let's think about this. What are we trying to do here? We want to get the store value and we want to put it on the screen, right? So these things shouldn't be this hard this far into the day. Dot subscribe store equals X. Oh, that needs to have a settable property, doesn't it? It's got to get in the set, so now you can do the thing. And here we'll return observable.return unit.default. Although I really kind of want to make that, but the subscriber won't actually get access to be able to subscribe, so the on next won't happen unless my subscriber is of type store DTO. My subscriber won't be of type store DTO because my subscriber is going to be of type unit. I was making jokes earlier about how observable.create is not my friend, but observable.create is my friend, and I have to use it more to understand why it's my friend. So return disposable dot empty, I think is no. No, I want to return. I can just return that. Right, I can return that disposable to whoever my subscriber is. And this can just be, I'm actually going to look at the public API for that real quick. Oh, I need to put my glasses back on. Observable.create takes in a function and a subscription. So it takes in a function of observer, which gives me the observer. The question is, do we need all that? Observer T result, action. I guess it'll still surface and it'll still do its thing. So let's go ahead and put a breakpoint where we actually set the store. Let's go ahead and drop our functions. Oh, all that's internal to that, isn't it? Okay. All the closures, none of the guilt. We can just convert this, rename the get store, right? And then put in a using statement. Nope. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to convert that to a variable. That's reactive. That should be helps when you remember to put the semicolon. Oh man. What have you learned from streaming, Matt? Please enlighten me. Teach me your ways. Ha! Now I have an exception. Object type observable as property helper store DTO cannot be converted to type store DTO check value blah blah junk and stuff. Yep. So more conversation. Now that means it's gonna be in my OBJ folder, right? Is where all that stuff happens, where you end up getting, yeah, the FODI type stuff. Okay, so let's just go ahead and blow those away. Ooh, not everything, just those. That means we're gonna have to do another NuGet restore, so refresh. What did you learn from streaming? I'm almost scared to know. Hopefully it regenerated that as a reactive property now, so it knows better how to handle it, so I don't get a runtime error. Object of type observable as property helper store DTO. Because it's supposed to convert that at IL, right? Which means it's supposed to do that as it's compiling. So what am I missing? What is Rodney not seeing? Right, this is no longer an observable as property helper, right? This is go to implementations, definitions. This is now officially a reactive property, but this exists in. Maybe I just need to do an explicit rebuild. Let's try that. Let's do advanced actions. Let's do rebuild solution with diagnostics. Which means I need to clean up all of this view stack pop-up nonsense and get it working so I can ship a package. Explicitly ship a brand new package. Oh no, the unit tests failed. Whatever shall we do? Not care. That's what's gonna happen. Not today, at least. Why would y'all fail to build? Is it really just Command 8? It is just Command 8. Thank you, Key Promoter X, for telling me that I'm bad at things. It's just Command 8 is all it takes to bring out my unit test pane. Oh. One of these days I'm going to know. Yeah. So it's funny you bring that up, Matt. Like, so you see, I wear glasses, right? And I realize that these type of glasses are not good because they slide down my nose, and I have a very oily skin. I guess is the I don't know what the right term for it is, but anyway. So like, what I realized, what I realized is that these things slide down my face, so I end up like raising my eyebrows to try and keep them on my face. So yeah, it becomes this really awkward thing. I need to get one that has a actual bridge, make my life a little easier. But yeah, we are tense often, and you have lenses. Yeah, I just don't like lenses. I'm not a fan. But then again, I didn't grow up, wearing glasses day in and day out. like my sister did. So like if I needed them all the time, I could see the difference, but I don't need them all the time. I really just need them when I write code, which all the time. I really just need them when I write code, and when I'm driving at night and stuff. So yeah, I guess that's all the time. Oh well. They can't all be winners, man. All right, we know that that's doing its thing. We don't care about that. I actually want to clean that whole thing up, but I can't based upon the way it's currently coded. I'd have to. Okay, here's the moment of truth. Is this thing still an observable as property helper, or is it going to allow me to set the value? Looks like it's. Looks like it's broken. So I always talk about why I don't like Fody Weavers, and this is like proving exactly why I don't like Fody Weavers. Because they do this stuff at the IL level. Not that I don't like them. I hate to say I don't like. There's the trade off, and the trade off is you have to use IL for certain things. Like all the new source generators, everyone's like, oh, I'm gonna move away from Fody. You can't. Okay, it's just not gonna happen, right? Like the source generators do not give you the power that Fody gives you. Fody gives you IL level power. But man, I wish they could come up with something like that doesn't break at compile time like all the freaking time. So now we're gonna go in here and do the same thing because like we finally like actually read the error message, because reading is fundamental. And after we've read the error message, we realized that it was the iOS project that was breaking. So we'll just do an explicit delete of the bin and OBJ folder, which is normal if you're a Xamarin developer. I don't know if that's normal if you're an ASP.NET Core developer, but we do it all the time. Hey, is everything in your Xamarin project cocked up? Go ahead and clear your bin and OBJ folder. Like to the point where there have been like blog posts from people that work at Xamarin that show you how to write like scripts to go ahead and blow it away. So that's how we know it's a problem, and we know we have a workaround. So we're not going to try and solve it. Not to say that Xamarin Forms isn't trying to solve it. It's not the case. It's just I get where priorities are and how priorities end up, especially like when you work for a big corporation like Microsoft. But I wish it just wasn't that way. I wish Xamarin was able to grow and not have to worry about shareholder value, right? And truly grow as a development platform as opposed to having to conform to the Microsoft machine. But, having Microsoft backing Xamarin does speak good for the longevity of the platform. So I won't complain too much. All right, we've got a thing. You're still an observable as property helper somewhere, aren't you? Somewhere in the bowels of yourself, you are still an observable as property helper. So, you and all of your funky IL. Dun dun dun. When we load this, I don't think we actually want to do any of this anymore. So we're just going to do an observable.create with an empty action. Can we do that? Does All right, we'll come back to actually. Yeah, we'll come back to that because I'm not going to do all that stuff right now. I was playing with that on another branch, and I don't want to do all that right now. Okay, so now this should work because... Ooh, no, it's not going to work because... Yeah, it should work. Because now we're not trying to do stuff that's illegal. So in my 20s, if I was like, oh, I'm gonna spend my nights and I'm gonna spend my Friday nights. Sorry, I'm replying to tweets instead of focusing on things. Academy, yay! We click search. We get one. We get the thing. We get it from the store, and now we are getting a name bound to our thing. This is good. All right. So this is good. So now we've got our pop-up. So like when we click on our store, right? Okay. So the way this whole application works, let's walk through that. Yeah. Let's spin it back up from the beginning. This is an app that I'm building for a talk that I'm giving, and the whole purpose of the app is to kind of show good architectural patterns around RX. Things that you want to do, things that you don't want to do, kind of best patterns and practices, I guess, is really what the talk is kind of about. But I wanted to show it in like a real world example because it's easy for me to just give you a whole bunch of, hey, do this, hey, don't do that, hey, do this. But it's easier when you can look at somebody who wrote an application and see how they solve certain concerns. Oh, you ran into this problem, how did you solve it, right? Like that adds value. We no longer need, let's just mute all the breakpoints. All the breakpoints go bye-bye. Okay. So why this is important is now I'm going to have a list of stores, right? And for any given store, it may tell me the proximity that I'm close to, so on and so forth. But what I want to do is I want to pop up a page that gives me, how do I explain this? Full fidelity into like details about the store. So like I'll be able to see here, I'll be able to see details about the store that I won't be able to see on the individual line item. Right? Like I'll be able to see start when it's open, when it's closed, and this is just an RG plugins pop-up page. And what we've effectively done is we've implemented RG plugin pop-ups with parameterization for your navigation in our navigation library sextant. So now I need to go back and probably write some unit tests for all this stuff. But at this point, I think this is a good point to kind of just talk through how this works, right? Like, so this has an abstraction that we're depending on. We're clicking on the thing. It's going and passing in parameters. It's unwrapping those parameters in the navigation call and giving those parameters back to me, which is a pretty entertaining thing. So anytime I click it, it's ooh. Ooh, I don't want that to happen when the details is clicked, so I need to go back and put it to do there. But it's just popping up a details page, right? And then I'll click the background, dismiss the details page, go to somewhere else on here. I'll have a button on here. So actually, might as well. Let's do some Xamarin Forms UI stuff, because that's what everyone always wants to see, right? Rodney writing XAML. And like, okay, so like, I was on the internet being an ass not too long ago, and Matt, you know this about me, right? Like I like, what kind of what kind of MacBook do I have? I'll send you the specs. I've got a 16-inch Pro. I've got, sorry, I like the chat window is hidden behind other stuff because my screen resolution is so small, so I'm trying to make a conscious effort to go and read it. But I got a 16-inch Pro, just for the record. I got it. I was actually in the market for a new one because my old Mac is like 6 years, at this point it's 6 years old. And it's a 13-inch Air, and I love the 13-inch Air form factor, but it doesn't give you, like, Apple doesn't give you the power that they could in a 13-inch. So I just went with the 16-inch because I needed a daily driver anyway. And I write Xamarin applications for a living, so I figured having a beefy MacBook is a good idea. Hindsight 2020, I did have to do a fair amount of stuff to get it up and working. But overall, I'm happy with my setup. So, all I probably want another monitor, but that's probably like another thing for another day. Um, and now I've let Matt distract me. Oh yeah, so I'll be able to put different metadata on here about the store, the remaining time for the store, some different information about it. Um, I've actually hadn't didn't check to see if these things are working, but they should be working, right? So like I should be able to put a breakpoint here. Click this button. Oh, breakpoints are muted. Um, I think I was getting to the point where I was going to tell everybody I'm hungry and I'm going to sign off, and then Matt asked me a question, so here we are. Yep, observable.return. It navigates when navigated to, but I'm not getting. I'm not getting navigation events. Oh, because I'm not subscribed to it. I would actually have to subscribe to it to get the event. Anyway. So the major topic of this live stream is I'm just kind of writing code. I'm writing some C# code. Generally, I stream about reactive programming in C#. So I'm giving a talk in 2 weeks around the same topic, and I needed some extra time to work on my app and fix some bugs and introduce some new features in a library that this application depends on. So I used tonight's stream as a time to instead of talking about a very specific topic, I was just kind of streaming and writing code. But the majority of the time, what I'm streaming on is C#, reactive programming, sometimes some C# build automation. Like I'm probably gonna do some nuke stuff here in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, we talk about pretty much anything in here. I have friends all over the globe that are developers that like to get on and troll me at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning where they are instead of being asleep, because I guess that's a thing to do, to troll your friends at 4 in the morning on a live stream. So the basic gist of this my entire channel is I'm just streaming coding concepts around C# and RX, generally with the Xamarin Platform, so the cross-platform mobile technology from Microsoft. So there you have it. And don't be sorry for interrupting. That's what it's about. You know, you join the stream and ask questions, and we interact with each other, and hopefully I learn something. Hopefully the people on the stream teach me something. So yeah, I'm actually kind of liking this whole get up right now. This is working relatively well. So I'm gonna formalize. I'm probably gonna log off here in a minute and go get some food because I've been at this for almost 2 hours now. But what I'm gonna do after this is I'm gonna go ahead and formalize the changes that I'm making for the navigation service. I'm gonna add some unit tests around some of this stuff. And then I'm going to kind of go to town on shipping a release. I'll probably ship a release this weekend. While everybody else is avoiding other people and social distancing during COVID for Labor Day with their friends, I'll be shipping software. That's all I really know how to do these days, is ship software and Kung Fu. It's kind of like my life. So thank you for joining in. Oh, the stream about RX and dynamic data. I'm glad. Thank you for that feedback, Jim Fu. And I'm horrible with names, so Jing Feng Hu. I'm assuming Chinese. I know a little bit of Cantonese, not enough to actually speak it, just enough to say that I know a little bit of Cantonese, literally. Um, so I'm glad you got value out of that. Feel free to reach out to me on any of the social media mediums. My Twitter handle is the same as my streaming handle here. If you have any questions about RX, Chinese in Australia, awesome. I've got a lot of friends in Australia that join in, and I've got a friend that's in Korea that joins in. So if you have any questions, any RX related questions that you ever want me to cover, I've got an open call from the community. This stream is more about promoting RX and learning things together than it is about anything else. So if there are questions that the community has trouble with, I'd love to solve them, right? Like let's pose a question. How do I do this with RX? How do I do these things? And let's figure it out together, because I may not know the answer, but hopefully I can find somebody smart to tell me the answer, and we can walk through the answer together, live, and talk about these things, because RX is hard, and I've had a really difficult learning curve personally learning RX. So if we can learn together and I can do work to help other people, beat that learning curve and get value, that's what we're here for. So today I was just kind of looking at Sextant, which is a navigation library for reactive UI, specifically modeled for the Xamarin Forms platform, but eventually it's going to take care of WinUI and some other platforms as well, WPF and the like. And today what I needed a feature. What I needed was, let me go to the interface. What I needed was the ability to push navigation parameters on navigation to a pop-up page. So what you see here in the emulator is an actual pop-up page that I am getting from, and you know what? Let's actually go back and rebind some of that stuff real quick, because we got people paying attention. So I like to cater to the people that pay attention, because it's always fun. So what we're doing is we're doing some binding here. So I'm actually going to just go ahead real quick and bind out the, hopefully this works. Let's do the, just proving that we're actually getting data from our data store. Let's just put the current weight there. Proving that we're getting data from our data store, and getting the navigation parameters out on navigation. Oh man, so it's so funny that you bring that up. And if I'm butchering your name, I apologize, but I read it as Jin Feng Hu. So I actually started all of this live stream nonsense with a with a sample Xamarin Forms app, and I'll link that here in the chat so you can go check it out. But one of the things that I'm doing to prove exactly that collection view has a lot of bugs, and that I need Xamarin Forms to fix it before they actually before they deprecate list view, is I'm writing this reactive UI sample app, this showroom app, to show how to do all of the things you would want to do in Xamarin Forms using reactive UI, dynamic data, and all of the RX concepts. Well, what I found immediately was collection view does not work like list view in more ways than I care to count. And I have found 2, maybe 3 bugs in collection view just in the time that I've been working on that app, that sample app. And it's just like, yeah, collection view has too many bugs. So one I talked about, and I don't know if I talked about it on that live stream, but be careful with collection view's refresh command. If your command does not have execution safety, i.e. you do not define a can execute for your command, it will fire every single time you hit the threshold. So if you have a network request that's going on in there, like to go get more data because you're doing paging, that network request is going to fire every single time you hit that threshold, and you hit that threshold pretty often. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I did the same thing. Like I do the same thing. I use list view, and everyone's like, "Oh, Rodney, why don't you use collection view?" And I'm like, when collection view gives me the same fidelity that that the list view gives me, and it's funny. Another one of my Xamarin Forms developer friends says to me just yesterday, Rodney, I want all of the power of list view with the performance of collection view, and I'm just like, yeah, isn't that what we all want as Xamarin developers? We just want performance. And I talk about Xamarin. I have no qualms with Xamarin or the Xamarin team. I'm very candid and clear about that. I am very grateful for the Xamarin technology as it exists, because without it, yeah. Okay, so we are proving that we're getting the data out and we're binding. So we're actually binding that to the current wait time here. So you can see that the value down here is now changed. We're getting Academy, which all of them are named Academy, so I don't expect that to be a thing. But I think maybe we can try Best Buy, right? I think Best Buy's in there. Yep. So Best Buy, we click on that, Best Buy comes up. So yeah, so we're proving that this actually works. We're getting navigation parameters using our navigation, and we're passing those navigation parameters to our RG plugin pop-ups page using Sextant. So that was kind of what we were talking about today after I got done talking about mock data. But I did talk about how to use mock data earlier. So when I push this to YouTube, you might want to go check that out. To give you a quick rundown because you're here. What I am doing in this application is I'm using Refit, which is another library under the Reactive UI umbrella. We're using Refit as our API contract. So one of the first things I did on this was I was calling my Azure function every time and increasing my Azure spend. So I was like, let me create a mock service. So we went and showed exactly how that works. And Jim Feng Hu, I don't know if you know of this, but while I'm on here and while I've got a captive audience, right, in 2 weeks, there's going to be the first ever Reactive UI Conf. So we'll go ahead and plug the conference here. So go ahead, if you haven't already registered, you're actually going to see this code again during that talk because this code is this. I'm actually building this application for that talk. So one of the patterns that I do in my view models is I'm trying to get down to only having to pass a single data service. So this data service is a store data service, which takes a dependency on an API client. That API client takes a dependency on the contract. So if you're looking at it from a testing perspective, I may want the interface to be my testing scene. But if we're looking at it from I'm trying to build an application offline with minimal effort, with the ability to just mock my data store, I showed a couple of minutes ago how to create this mock data store from my API contract, go ahead and give it some bogus, like I'm literally using the library bogus, some bogus generated data, and then implementing my API contract, applying my mock so that I'm not hitting my Azure function every time, increasing my Azure spend, and I can still go ahead and work on my UI as though I'm connected to the internet. So that's what we started about in the first half of the stream, and then we started talking about navigation and all sorts of other stuff. Awesome. I'm glad you've registered. I'm hoping that it adds value, and I'm actually glad to hear your feedback. And I said that earlier. I don't know if I got to complete the thought, but I'm grateful for your feedback because sometimes I'm up here, Friday night just talking to myself and just writing code, and I don't know if anyone's actually getting value from these topics that I'm covering. So I'm glad that you're getting value. I encourage you to reach out. I may even actually create a GitHub issue or a GitHub repository specifically for my live stream so people can leave issues for me to cover. And I can actually track what things I've covered, what things I might need to go back and cover in greater depth. So if I decide to do that, I'll post that on my Twitch channel so that people can go and drop issues and we can make it a little bit more interactive, right? Because again, this is for all of us to learn. I've learned a lot through this streaming process. I've learned all manner of things around RX that I didn't know. So I'm learning, I'm enjoying myself, and if other people are continually getting value, then there's value in continuing streaming. So thank you for your feedback. Any feedback is welcome, even if it's Rodney, that was a horrible stream. You should never talk about that again, or change your background or whatever the case may be. I'm always trying to embrace that continuous improvement concept. So trying to get better, trying to become a better developer, trying to understand how to solve problems with RX faster and better. So I won't go through all of the architecture here. I'll be talking about that in my talk, which will also be recorded and available for live stream. So thank you for tuning in tonight. I'm going to push this out to YouTube in the next week, so feel free to look at it there. I think my YouTube channel is on this thing. Maybe it's not. Maybe I need to put my YouTube channel and some other stuff in my Twitch. I probably need to just spend some time working on my Twitch channel, but there's so much code to write. So thank you for joining in. Thank you. Hopefully there was some value that was had from looking at these things. But today we just kind of talked around some stuff I needed to do anyway for this application that I'm building. And hopefully we looked at some RX stuff and did some RX stuff that made some sense. Everybody, thank you for joining. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to go get some food because it's around 9 o'clock at night here and it's Friday. So it's time to probably get either whiskey or a beer. Cheers.